And we are back. Okay, new game has been added to the Mac App Store. As you can see, it is Stray, a game about a cat. I have this game on my Xbox Series S as well, but I never actually played it. I bought it, but I never played it. So this will be my first time giving her a shot. And as you can see, I do have the Metal Performance HUD on in the top right. And I am playing this in 1920 by 1080. And if we hop over into the settings, you can see that I have the Metal FX scaling turned on, and I have everything at low. And I'm using a controller, by the way. My Xbox Series S controller does work well with the game, so that is always nice. And you can see that it does have vibration and a couple other settings in here as well. Now, I did load this game up earlier today just to try it out. And honestly, don't expect a very high frame rate, especially if you're playing on like a MacBook Air like I am. So I'm playing on an M2 based MacBook Air with 10 core GPU, so I did get the upgraded GPU. However, this game is very graphic intensive, especially at the very beginning of the game. I only put about 10 minutes in just to see how it felt and to see if the controller was going to work. But in those first 10 minutes of the game, you're loaded into a very green environment, so a lot of foliage, meaning a lot of polygons, so the frame rate is not high. I did actually lower the resolution down to 720, but for this video, I'm just going to leave it at 1080 with all of the graphics settings on as low as they'll go, essentially. And then you can watch the FPS up in the top right. Okay, so this was the game that I started earlier today, but we're going to start fresh. Here we go. The game is on the Mac App Store. I think it came out today, so I'm playing it on the day that it did come out, and I think it's $20 to $30, somewhere in that range, and it only works on M1 or higher, so you need one of the M-based Macs in order to play it. However, I'm warning you now, even on the lowest possible settings, the frame rate isn't the best, even with Metal FX Upscaling turned on. And there's two options here. There's a built-in scaling solution as well as Metal FX. So I did try both. Apple's own Metal FX seems to do much better. So I would recommend using that. All right, here we go. So you can see right now we're getting 30 FPS, but the second we finish this little segment here, it's going to drop significantly to a point where I would almost say it's pretty much unplayable at this resolution with my current setup. So when I play games, I'm not like a frame rate junkie, but I do prefer when my games are around 60 FPS. That's good enough for me. If the game does not have a lot of movement, a lot of fast movement, I don't mind having a little bit lower, 50, 40 on the low end is okay. But the second it starts to get to 30, it starts to bother me. And if it goes below 30, then in my opinion, it's not even worth it. And even on the lowest settings, so at the lowest resolution, at the lowest graphic presets, this game was hitting 20 sometimes in the first 10 minutes of gameplay. So, well, you can see it's at 20 right now, but this is a cutscene of sorts. By the way, the game is stunning. Like, it's beautiful. And I kind of feel bad that, you know, I'm not playing it on hardware that really like, the game deserves better than this. If you're going to play this on a Mac, then you got to have something more powerful than a M2 MacBook Air is what I'm getting at. So you can see these like polygon heavy environments with all the foliage. Like, it's the M2, it just can't. See, it's lower than 20 right now. It's probably going to sit around 20, I imagine. Yeah. And in my opinion, this is not playable for me. Like, I'm not comfortable with this frame rate. Now, I do notice that when it comes to lower than optimal frame rates, like it is now, if you're playing on a larger display, you can really notice it. But if you're playing on the MacBook's built-in display, it's not as obvious. The lower frame rate. So right now I am playing it on an external gaming monitor, which is 24 inches. And like, I'm sitting right in front of it, and like, my God, the lower frame rate it's painful. Like, it actually gives me vertigo just looking at it. So we're going to stop just up here. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. And what I'm going to do is stop recording. You won't notice this, but I'm going to stop recording, and I'm going to load the game up on my MacBook Air's display, not on the external display, which will give me a few extra resolution options, and I'll try to drop this down to the 720 area, and then we'll see what we get for the frame rate, again with all the settings on low. So be back in just a second. Okay, hopefully it is recording properly, or this is going to be a waste of time. Okay, so the game is loaded back up. I'm playing it on my MacBook Air display now. I have the resolution set at 1280 by 800. Metal FX Upscaling is still turned on, and I have all the settings on low. So let's hop back into it. So you can see, before we were getting in this section below 20, So we managed to get about 10 frames back as a result of dropping the resolution down. It's certainly not as unbearable as it was before. There's nothing else I can do to improve the FPS, so I have everything on its lowest setting now. So I am going to play, like 20 to 30 minutes here, and we'll just keep an eye on the frame rate to see how it changes. Again, I realize that, given how beautiful this game is, it's not doing it justice right now. However, this is the the best performance you're going to get out of it, is to have all the settings on their lowest, essentially. Well, that's depressing. This sort of reminds me of a movie a bit I watched when I was really young. It was called Oliver and Company. And Oliver the cat was separated from his brothers and sisters. Oh, apparently I have hurt my leg. Oh, and now the game is freezing. Interesting that it froze there because our FPS is at a locked 60 right now. Wow. Again, see, once the foliage is gone, all of a sudden we have a good frame rate. So depending on how much of the game has those outdoor like greenery scenes, you might be able to bump up the resolution a little bit, as long as you don't mind playing at, like 30 to 40 FPS. But the second you hit an area that has a lot of trees, then boom, you're back down to 20. But this isn't bad. I mean, even though I'm playing this at like 1280p or whatever you want to call this, 800p, it actually looks pretty good. I assume that's because of the Metal FX upscaling. The hell's that? thought maybe I could pick up some water or something. What do I need to do here? Oh. Do I have to throw something into there to stop it? There's some frame rate dropping. So the frame rate has been really good, you know, hovering around 40 to 50 depending on how much is on screen. Oh. And even though it's in a low resolution, I mean, it actually looks really good. I assume that's because of the upscaling, but it looks like it's almost in 1080. So that's really neat, actually. You can see we're getting 40 to 50 FPS right now. But the second you get back outside where there's a bunch of trees, all of a sudden it's going to drop again. So, but it's definitely playable. And the controller is working good. This is actually a really good port onto macOS. However, there's all of these, like, it just froze again there. Seems like there are several moments where the game just stops to think a bit. Oh god. The hell are these things? Ah! Leave me alone. Okay, well, I got a shield. Oh, look at the frame rate's down to 30. This would be a really, I'm assuming a lot of people are already doing this, but this would be a really good speedrunning game. Now where? Down? Oh boy. Really? I can't make that jump? Come on. I see. Oh. Oh, I'm actually typing. Oh, God. Okay, the developers of this game deserve something, an award. What is that? Interesting. Does it want me to take all these power cells and put them in here? That's what I'm thinking. There's another one up there. Okay, one more. Oh, I see. Okay, I know this game has puzzles, and I really, really don't like puzzles, but at least the puzzles are simple. What the hell is going on here? What is this thing that I'm carrying? Oh. Oh. Kind of reminds me of the little robots in Destiny. What are they called? Not Guardians. Ghost. It reminds me of the ghosts in Destiny. This guy's cuter, though. You know what's funny is that I have 3 cats, and this is exactly what they do when you put like a collar or something on them that they haven't had on them before. This is exactly what they do. You know, they don't like anything that feels unnatural on their body. So they'll lower themselves to the ground thinking, you know, they can like rub it off or you know, get rid of it somehow. The developers of this game, they know cats well to have included that, you know, very specific thing. I think that's where we're gonna call it for now. So I'm actually quite impressed. So as long as you're playing this game, like again, if you have an M1 MacBook Air or an M1 MacBook Pro, an M2 MacBook Air or an M2 MacBook Pro, you know, you're probably going to be getting a similar experience to me. My recommendation is to make sure your graphics, you know, put the resolution low, but turn on that scaling. Even, you know, even with the low resolution, but having that scaling on it, it actually looks quite good. I can't even tell that it is a really low resolution, so that's kind of nice. And I would just put all of the graphics settings at the bottom, low or medium, depending on if you're okay with a lower FPS, you know, go for the medium. But on low, everything actually looks quite good in my opinion. Now, if you do have like an M2 Pro or an M2 Max or something, then maybe you can bump this stuff up, and it wouldn't be experiencing the same frame rates that I am. I would imagine not. But yeah, this is actually a really cool game, and I'm actually quite enjoying it. So I might continue playing this one, and I think the experience is quite good. Again, very surprising coming from an M2 MacBook Air that has no fans. I'm touching the keyboard on my Mac right now, and it's not too hot. I don't monitor thermals or anything because the Mac will take care of itself. If it gets too hot, it'll throttle as needed. But I mean, I'm touching the chassis right now. It's not too hot. It's pretty good. So cool. Anyways, signing off. I will see you again next time. See you later.